What's going on, everybody? King of Dragons 5000 here, coming at you with another figure review. Today we'll be having a look at the premium Bandai exclusive SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z Recoom. And so here we have Recoom posing out of the packaging. Before we take a look at the figure, let's actually run through his accessories really fast. Recoom does come with 4 different head sculpts. We do get the smiling head that we have on him right now. We get a yelling head looking straight. We get a yelling head looking to the right. Then we get a yelling head looking to the left. We also do get several sets of hands. We get a pair of fists. We get a pair of clenching hands. We get a pair of key blasting hands. We get a pair of flat palmed hands. Then we have a pair of flat palm style posed hands. We also get the 3-star Dragon Ball, which does fit in his key blasting hand. We get the Ginyu frog, which is a very funny accessory. I do like it. And then we get a head for Captain Ginyu when Captain Ginyu becomes the Ginyu frog. Other than that, we really don't get anything else with Recoom, which is a shame because I would have really loved to see him come with the eraser gun effect. But unfortunately, he doesn't get that. So, with that out of the way, guys, let's actually have a closer look at Recoom. And so here we have a closer look at Recoom. Now, I think Bandai has done a fantastic job with this figure. He does carry over some of the same issues we've seen with all the other Ginyu Force members, which we've had a look at. But his doesn't seem as bad, and I'll explain that when we move on to his articulation. But for now, let's actually just talk about his detailing. Not a fan of this head sculpt. I do understand that this head sculpt is pretty accurate, but I think an expression where he's smirking off to the side with his teeth showing would have been a much better accessory than this creepy grinning head sculpt. Now, like I said, he does come with 3 other heads, which are just him yelling and looking in 3 different directions. That's kind of disappointing. I would have liked to see some variety. That seems like a SH Figuarts Marvel thing that they do, where they just have the head looking straight and then the head looking slightly to the side. Recoom here has that 3-fold, which is a little bit unfortunate. Now, the way you interchange his head, he has the same joint that we saw with Jiren and Captain Ginyu, which I'm not a fan of this. The head just doesn't sit right for me. And the way you switch his head out is, unfortunately, they don't give you a full head. He only comes with his head without the hair, so the hair is interchangeable, along with the scouter. This is the same thing that we saw with Zamasu, where his hair was not part of the head sculpt, where you had to take the hair off just to pose him, which caused more trouble than it's worth. It's over-engineered, to be quite honest. If they had just had the head with the hair on all of his heads, that would have been much better, at least in my honest opinion. It's just unnecessary steps to get the same effect. And I know they did it as a cost-saving tool, but this is an exclusive figure, so I'm not a fan of that. So the head does look good, and like I said, it is accurate to the anime. Just not a fan of that creepy grin. The hair is done fairly nicely. There's no shading on his hair, but it looks like his hair before it got blasted off by Vegeta. At least most of it anyway. Recoom here does look the part of the big blundering buffoon, and I really do like the detailing on him. Now, you can see a color differential between his skin tone that's molded and painted, and that's mainly because this is painted in skin tone, this is molded in skin tone, so you do see a color difference. You don't see it that much under regular lights, but under my studio lights, yeah, it is quite noticeable. One thing I do like is that they have improved the armor design since they did the version 2 of Vegeta. The armor on all these figures looks much better than armor Vegeta, so really got to give them props for that. That does look really nice. Now, Recoom does have sleeves. I do believe he's the only member of the Ginyu Force with sleeves, aside from Goldo, but Goldo doesn't really matter. No one likes him. Really do like that they actually molded a seam line right here. It's not just paint and then half of it is cut off. You can see a little ridge where his sleeve ends, and that's one little detail that you really wouldn't expect to see, but they did include it, which I really do like that. And one thing I really do appreciate about Recoom is that all the white on him appears to be molded white. It's not cast in a flesh tone then painted white or vice versa. His flesh tone right here is flesh tone, and then his glove does appear to be a separate piece, which I really do like that minor little detail, because now it looks more uniform when you have the glove and the arm two separate pieces. They match more with the flesh tone, and the glove matches so much better. So really do like that small little detail. They really didn't have to do that with Recoom, but they did. So my Recoom has a slight issue where he has a tendency to lean off to the right. Now I can get him to lean looking straight, but over time he seems to want to keep leaning to the right. So you will notice that I'm going to be constantly adjusting him. So just bear in mind that mine just has that issue where the top of his joint seems to want to lean to the right. It's not a big deal. It's just how mine is. Again, really do like the armor. The tan color that they use is really good. Really love the Ginyu Force emblem that is tampoed on there. Then we have the back of his armor with his broad back. I'm wondering if down the road we'll see a version 2 of Recoom where he's missing his armor, he's more beat up, missing teeth. I think that would be a really nice figure to have as a version 2 Recoom. That would be pretty fun. I would like that. And hopefully they could include an eraser gun with that figure. So Recoom does have the 3 panels on his armor going down to the sides and in the front. Not a fan of how they designed this. The way you're supposed to design this so it gets out of the way is that the hinge should be right here on the white part. The fact that it does go down means that it does stick out awkwardly. If it was actually right up here, it would go out a little bit easier. But as you can see, that will get in the way of his articulation. If you guys can see, that will hinder articulation just because of that very little nub coming off right here. That's going to be hindering his legs a little bit. So do bear in mind that when you have him pose, you're going to want to keep in mind where that hinges. So Recoom is also the only member of the Ginyu Force that wears shorts. Berta wears the long, Berta and Goldo, excuse me, I don't even know his own name, have the long tights. Ginyu and Jace have the underwear. Recoom has the biker shorts, which, again, just like with his sleeves, they are molded and sculpted, and I do like the fact that they're not absolutely skin tight, where you can see that there's some muscle definition underneath there, but it is a type of fabric that goes over it, and that's a tiny little detail that obviously they did not need to include, but they did, and I'm really surprised that they did do that. He has these really big, meaty, tree-like legs, which I really do like. The musculature looks like it was drawn, so I really do like that tiny detail. And just like with his gloves, the white part on his boot is molded, so it keeps that same uniform color right here. So you don't have to worry about mismatched whites or mismatched flesh tone because it's all the same color. I think the only mismatched colors on Recoom are technically the sleeves right here, although they do a really good job of matching the gray, and the skin tones right here. That's the only part that you'll see some color differential on, but it's still really nice. Recoom here is a great addition to your collection if you can get over some of the minor nitpicks like that I have, especially with the head. Ooh, I really don't like that. But anyway, that's Recoom's detail for you guys. I forgot to mention he also has a green scouter. So with that out of the way, let's actually get him compared to other figures you may have in your collection. So here we have Recoom posed next to a Marvel Legends Cyclops and a DC Multiverse Superman. Here we have Recoom posed next to a WWE Elite Scale figure and a Mezco 1/12 Collective Popeye the Sailor Man. Here we have Recoom posed next to a Lightning Collection White Ranger and a Star Wars Black Series Mandalorian. And finally, here we do have Recoom posed next to the other members of the Ginyu Force with Captain Ginyu and Jace. So with the comparisons out of the way, let's actually have a look at Recoom's articulation. Now his head here is on a barbell joint. As you can see, we have a ball joint going up into this piece which connects his head. Then we have another ball joint going down into the neck, and that does provide some really good articulation. You can see he can look down and up quite a bit, can lean his head side to side really nicely. And then of course we do have rotation in that joint. We also do have a secondary ball joint here at the neck, which does allow him to look further down, further up, more tilt, and you can see that does move around really nicely, but it does have a tendency to break up the sculpt. So pose it as you will, just be aware that you will have to cover it with some clever photography, or you can leave them all gappy. That is entirely up to you. So just like with the other Ginyu Force members, his armor is on your traditional hinge, which I really wonder why they didn't go with the Broly armor that we saw with the Dragon Ball Super Broly. That's the best armor that they've ever made. So why did they go back to the single hinge where it connects to the torso? The way they should do it is connecting it to a cap right here, so that when you move the arm out, it moves with it. That would probably be the best way to go about that. So his armor is on a hinge. As you can see, it pegs in just like all the other armor. So we'll take that off just for a little bit. His shoulders are on ball joints that go into the torso. The right shoulder on mine is very stiff. I don't know why. I'm going to have to hit that with some lubricant because the ball joint on it just doesn't want to move. It's moving right now, but earlier it was just, yeah, it got stuck right there, as you guys can see. I have to put a little more effort into that. But yeah, we do have a ball joint here which does pivot down and up, pivots forward and back. And then he also does have a butterfly joint which does come out nicely. Although once again, we do break up the sculpt. If it was molded like the Broly armor, you would have this entire piece cut out, connected to the butterfly joint, so it looks very nice. Now, he still has that problem where the armor right here kind of sticks out, but the way they designed his chest, it kind of caves in right here, and that does help with bringing his arm forward. You don't really have it hitting this spike like you did with Jace and Captain Ginyu. So his arm actually does come out a little bit better. So they did re-engineer his armor just a little bit better than Ginyu and Jace's, so I do like that. But yeah, we do have a hinge which does go out to the side, no problem. Goes all the way around. We have a bicep swivel, double bend here at the elbow, and even though he's a big guy, we get past 90 degrees. Not the best looking elbow by any means, but functional nonetheless. They also changed up his wrist here. It is just on a single ball joint, as you can see. So it doesn't have that hinge. It just moves up and down, forward and back, and rotates on that ball joint, which it's not a bad thing, but it does break up the sculpt a little bit, so do be aware of that. I believe, let's take his head off for a moment. His body is on a ball hinge, which does allow it to pop up and forward, which is what you're seeing right here. He doesn't have the same range that we saw with Captain Ginyu, but Recoom isn't as flexible as Captain Ginyu, and you can see right here the ball joint does put the body back down. So I do believe it's a ball hinge. We do have some rotation right there, so it might just be a ball joint, but I'm more than likely going to say it's a ball hinge. I can't see inside there at the moment, but I'll double check that. We do have a ball joint here at the waist, which does move forward and back and gives you some rotation. Not the best, but it is some. His armor bits right here are on hinges, which again, not the best way to do it, but it's still functional. Legs do kick forward to about right there. They go back quite a bit, out to the side, and we get some pretty decent range on Recoom here, so that's pretty good. Thigh swivel works no problem. Double jointed knee goes up very high, really do like that. No boot swivel, but we do have a ball joint here. Is it a double? Yeah, it's a double ball joint in the foot, so it does pivot forward, can pivot back. It gets really good side to side rock your ankle, so I do like that. And you can pivot it and lock it in place. It doesn't get too good forward and back movement, which is a little bit unfortunate. But we do have a toe hinge, which kind of looks bad, but it is there. So Recoom here does have pretty good articulation, and it is engineered just slightly better than Captain Ginyu and Jace's, so I do appreciate that, even though I do think that the Broly armor is the way to go. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. So what we're going to do now is get Recoom posed for my final thoughts, and then we'll wrap up this review. And so here we have the Premium Bandai SH Figuarts Recoom pose for my final thoughts. And overall, I really do like the way this figure came out. Don't get me wrong, the Ginyu Force aren't my favorite characters, but they are part of an important arc in Dragon Ball Z. So I do feel like they are a necessary part to have in any collector from Dragon Ball Z. So Recoom here is a really well done figure. They did a lot of things right with this figure, but they still did a couple things wrong. And the armor is probably my biggest pet peeve with every member of the Ginyu Force so far. When you had armor that was as good as the one that we had with Super Broly, you wonder why they even went back to this old style armor. I just don't understand. This style of armor does impede some articulation, but Recoom here did kind of fix that. As you can see, they did cave in his chest just a little bit, just to give his arms a little bit more movement. But other than that, I still think it still has the same problems, especially with the hinges. They're not the best, and they do break up the sculpt quite a bit. If they had gone with the Broly armor, I think I'd be more in love with this figure. But as it stands, Recoom here is a pretty fun figure to have, and getting him posed in all his different Ginyu poses is quite fun. I do have one issue with him, and that's the heads. The heads are something that I can't forgive. They are just slightly modified heads, where he's looking off to the right, looking straight, looking to the left, and then one unique head sculpt. If they had given him a little bit more variety, I think I would be able to forgive it. But yeah, he just has those three generic yelling heads that really don't have too much going on for them, but I think I can let it slide, seeing as how much fun I've been having with him. The additional parts for Captain Ginyu and the Ginyu Frog are a really nice touch, but just like with Jace and Kid Gohan, I don't understand why we have the Premium Bandai figures coming with the Dragon Balls from Namek, especially because Captain Ginyu was a general release. Recoom, Kid Gohan, and Jace were Bandai exclusive, so that doesn't make sense why you would have the Namekian Dragon Balls with one figure as a general release and every other release is a premium. That is something that boggles my mind. But anyway, Recoom here is a Bandai or Premium Bandai figure, which means you had to pre-order him from Premium Bandai's website, which he was, I believe, $90. At the time I'm making this video, he is still available for pre-order on Big Bad Toy Store, but that is going to run you $120. Now, Recoom here is a fun figure, but I don't see this figure being $120. The $90 price tag, as it was already pushing it, but I still think Recoom here is a nice addition to any Dragon Ball collector. So if you can find him or add him to your collection, I really recommend you do. With that being said, guys, I'm KingofDragons 5000. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and check out all my other action figure reviews, as well as all my other Dragon Ball videos. Hopefully you find them informative. As always, if there's a figure you would like to see me review, let me know down in the comments, and if it's in my collection, I'll definitely have a look at it. While you're at it, check out my Instagram account for new and exciting action figure photos, and as always, ring that bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Until next time, guys, I'll see you later. Take care, everyone.